If you'll stand with me, we'll have a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we thank you for the beautiful summer day. And we just pray for wisdom and guidance, Lord. We appreciate how you have brought us through the budget process thus far. We have some miscellaneous items to look at today, Lord, especially talking about the ARP funds that we have, talk about a burn ban, and then some possible ideas for our annex. We just ask for your guidance and direction as we always do and as we always need. We just pray for continued protection from fires during this time of the year when we are so vulnerable. We pray for some rain. We pray for some cooler weather, Lord, but we know you'll take care of that in your time. We just turn this agenda over to you in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this was a meeting I put together last Friday. I just thought it would be a good time for us to go over a couple of things, and then we also, and just something kind of urgent, we needed to take care of a burn ban, or actually a ban prohibiting outdoor burning. And Chief McRae is here to give you a little more information on that and what why doing this will help him out. So I think I'll start with that one, and we'll allow Chief McRae to get about his day. But Chief, you had contacted me the other day and regarding this need for an order prohibiting outdoor burning. Tell the commissioners what you had told me.
In essence, they talked to the Texas Forest Service and one to be meaning that the document we had in place and they needed this document to be able to enforce outdoor burning.
And that will mean at the local level, what does that mean? And as far as they're concerned, what does that give them the ability to do that we don't have right now?
They can provide a outdoor burning violation if they're on the scene or call. Generally, it's in the past, if it gets off the commercial property, it's on the burn ban.
Will you flip your mic on? I'm sorry, I turned that off. I'm not thinking about that. Was it already on?
No, it was not.
All right. And go ahead with that line of thinking and what that means as far as liability.
Like I said, if they don't have the document as it's written that y'all are fixing to talk about, it does not allow them to be able to enforce a burn ban. The other document we have is basically a disaster declaration for outdoor burning, saying it was, situation was not good and a disaster declaration was issued. But this actually prohibits outdoor burning according to the documentation that we got from the Texas Association of Counties and from the Texas Forest Service.
Tell the commissioners what you had mentioned to me about the liability aspect, where if somebody is doing personal burning and that fire damages the property of others, how that affects.
Yes, sir. That's not only during a burn ban. That is any time someone does outdoor burning, it gets off their property, destroys somebody else's property, they're liable for those damages.
Okay. And that's something I guess I wasn't aware of, rather than just saying, well, hey, I'm sorry that my fire caused damage. Here there's actually legal precedent where you can assess. I guess an insurance company would get involved. They would be able to assess that responsibility on the person that was doing the burning, that shouldn't have been doing the burning, if it impacts their client's property. And so I think that our citizens need to be aware of that fact, that not only are they making these decisions regarding their own property, but any bad decisions that they make that negatively impact their neighbor can come back on them.
Correct.
Let me read this document here. This is an order prohibiting outdoor burning, whereas the County Commissioners Court finds that circumstances present in the unincorporated area of the county create a public safety hazard that would be exacerbated by outdoor burning. It's hereby ordered that the Commissioners Court of Titus County that all outdoor burning is prohibited in the unincorporated area of the county for 90 days from the date of adoption of this order, unless the restrictions are terminated earlier based on a determination made by the county judge that the circumstances that required the order no longer exist. This order is adopted pursuant to Local Government Code 352.081 and other applicable statutes. This order does not prohibit outdoor burning activities related to public health and safety that are authorized by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for 1, firefighter training, 2, public utility, natural gas, pipeline, or mining operations, 3, planting or harvesting of agricultural crops, or 4, burns that are conducted by a prescribed burn manager certified under Natural Resources Code and meet the standards of the Natural Resources Code. This order can be enforced by any state or local Texas law enforcement officer. In accordance with Local Government Code 352.081, a violation of this order is a Class C misdemeanor, punishable by a fine not to exceed $500. So that's the order as it stands. We're placing it at 90 days. Of course, if things change, and we hope that they will, we can bring this order to an end. So with Chief McRae's recommendation, I would ask that you consider this, and I would ask that you approve this order.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Motion to approve this order prohibiting outdoor burning is made by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. Any questions, comments for Chief McRae? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm going to note on here as it is requesting that we have 5 ayes and 0 nays. Chief, would you like a copy of this?
Please.
I will scan you one. It's going to require attestation by the county clerk, and then we'll put a number on here.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, as you said, it's good for 90 days, and if things don't improve, they ought to have to redo it.
We'll see how the future goes. All right. Thanks for doing this. And again, I don't know what our law enforcement officers are doing. I'll make the sheriff aware of this so that they understand that they have, complete authority to issue fines as the needs dictate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2, discuss preliminary design of a proposed exterior facade renovation of the Courthouse Annex. Back several months ago, we talked about, and we've been talking about for quite some time, that annex building. And I think that while the commissioners did several months ago decide that at this time they wanted to discontinue the pursuit of demolishing that building and rebuilding something new, at least for now, we all, I believe, are in agreement that the county needs to do our part to do some improvements to the way that annex looks and fix some of the peeling off facade that's over there and maybe give it a facelift. So with the assistance of the city and the Main Street Committee, they got the Texas Historical Commission to come up, and they have met with us once in person and twice by Zoom. And when I say us, I'm talking about the city manager and myself and some of his staff. And at one time, with the first visit, included a trip by one of the architects for the Texas Historical Commission, and he and another staffer have been working on this. And so we discussed after the first round. I think we were all in agreement. We didn't particularly like what we saw, and we said, let's do this and let's don't do that. So I want to start kind of at the back of this packet that I've given to you rather than at the front, and show you the first two preliminary drawings. If you'll look there on page, skip the back 2 pages for now and just look at the third from the back, and you're going to see the yellow flowers and the green color there with a current depiction of cars in the parking lot. It looks like this, if you're wondering. That one and the next page toward the front were the initial 2 renderings that they provided. And let me tell you what he's kind of trying to do here. And for those of you that may be familiar with the term mid-century modern or mid-century, this is kind of the field that they're trying to go with. And one of the things that I have asked him to do was keep the cost as low as we could and yet achieve an objective that would give us a fresh new look, but without having to move walls, without having to disrupt activities within the Courthouse Annex. And as you know, we have quite a lot going on in there. Behind these walls that you see here is the new District Attorney's offices. We have the District Judge's offices, and we have the Courtroom A. And you all know, just from the scarcity of parking here in the last few months, there's a lot going on at the Annex. And so I felt like it was important that we not, if possible, disrupt that. Everything you see here can be achieved, for the most part, by working on the outside of the building. My initial impression, and I'm not an artist and I'm not real creative, but I wasn't particularly enamored by the floral look there, nor was I particularly enamored by the sun scene there in the other one. And I think the city kind of felt the same way. Here's some of the things that I did like about it. If you'll look there, you'll see the 3 brick pillars there. Those are not all 3 there at this time. There's only a couple of them. So we have added in a couple of more of those. You'll see that white line that goes underneath the word Titus County Courthouse Annex. He has created some awnings there. I'm not sure exactly what the word is. I can't remember the word that he used. A canopy, I guess, would be a better way to describe those. And you'll be able to see that better in the second picture and the first picture from the back. So the things that I do like, he's created some sitting area there there's looks like at least 4 benches there up against the Courthouse Annex walls. And then he has created what is now, the modern word for this is a parklet, P-A-R-K-L-E-T, maybe it's T-T, I'm not sure, a parklet. But that's a brick enclosed 3-sided area there where you see in the artist drawing some people down there sitting. And the idea there was to create an area where people could sit down in safety, just, draw a little bit of attention away from just a flat, plain wall down there on that far east end of the annex. That's a pretty plain wall there. And rather than trying to build that wall up to match the same height, we do have, a different area there that he was trying to do something with rather than having it just a plain, solid, painted color wall. So graduating on to the next set of pictures, we asked him to, let's eliminate the floral, let's eliminate the sunset scene. And so he's given us, and now we can kind of go back to the front of this entire package, and you're going to see a variety of different looks that are basically different colors. And one of the other things we tried to do was, well, if you're going to have that parklet down there, let's maybe do some kind of an awning overhead, or some kind of whatever the word for those structures that people are building out by their pools that have not necessarily a solid roof, but they'll have angles there that kind of block the sun. And so he's added those. And again, I wish he was here to give us all these modern architectural words for what those are. But it creates somewhat of a shaded area down there in that parklet. And you can either have benches in there, you can have a few tables. Those tables can either be fixed, they can be a series of benches or booths or something like that. He's added some lighting there in between them. But rather than one solid covered structure, he's just kind of covered the east and the west ends of that parklet. That parklet will take up a couple of your parking places, which granted are at a premium. But with the addition of the benches up next to the wall, the planters there, and then take a look at the various colors that he's given to you. A combination of, there's in the first page a cream color. The second page, he's brought in some blues. The third page, he's brought in kind of a Dijon mustard color, I call it. And then the next page, a little bit more yellow in the beige, but not quite the mustard color. And then the next page, back to that same original green. And then the next page, some light blue. So does this match what's going on around the square? Not necessarily. Does it match the building down on the corner where we've got the printing company? Not necessarily, but in his opinion, it doesn't clash. And in my opinion, I like this mid-century look. It's simple. I think it's practical. You've given a lot of seating area over there. If you'll look out during the daytime, when you've got court going on, you've got people out there, everybody's standing up because there's no place to sit down. Here you've given people a place to maybe eat their lunch or grab a cup of coffee from Joe's and come outside and sit down, socialize, congregate. They can do it either in that covered parklet area there. They can sit on the benches. Those benches, again, are covered by a solid structure overhead. In the event of inclement weather, you do have the ability to stand underneath those. The color is achieved by, in some cases, simply you could paint over the glass, you could add a texture on top of the existing glass over there. Of course, we remove that that gray rock that's starting to peel off of the building over there. Down there on the far east end where the judge's offices are, the grids are actual pieces of aluminum that do stand out from the wall, and then you can fill in that color in any number of ways. Again, either with texture or with just simply paint, or with a textured surface, or with a stucco, or painted pieces of textured wood. There's any number of ways to achieve that. The planters can be wooden, they can be masonry. The benches can be fixed, they can be movable. The parklet, we could expand on that theme if you wanted to. So I wish I was here to let the architect kind of tell you some of his thoughts, but this is where we're at right now. I liked it well enough. The city manager liked it. His Main Street folks liked it. So I'm letting you take a look at this and see what you think.
Well, that's going to take parking out of the front and over here on the other side, which we already have a problem with the parking. as
Well,
it is.
you're gonna take two places here.
Well, you barely got parking for everybody when the court date here is, because if we come here on Mondays and there's no parking for anybody, the ladies can't find parking lots anyway. We got to look at this parking somehow or other.
All fair statements.
I like the number one drawing, that color, cream across the top above Titus County Courthouse Annex, and then paint the center section on that building to the end of the building there, like on page 4. Have it in that cream color.
Rather than all solid gray.
Break up that end of the building. I like that number 4's paint scheme, but in that lighter color, cream color would match the other buildings at the other end of the.
If you look back on your second to the last and last page, you get a different view of what that parklet looks like and the canopies that are hanging over. And those canopies are supported by those existing and new pillars. They're a fairly light weight. They're not a real heavy structure. And the fact that they appear to be thick doesn't necessarily mean that they are thick. They could be nothing more than a single sheet of metal.
I like that sitting area, that parkula. I like it, although we lose two parking.
Parklet.
Parklet. Instead of losing two parking places, I think it's real nice for the downtown area, especially on the weekends. Everybody out and about. Sulphur Springs has a few of them.
Well, parking is a premium. We do have lots of parking back behind Joe's that's not getting utilized. Maybe we retrain some of Guarantee Bank's employees as far as what's back behind the annex. Whether we do the parklet or not, I think we need to have some kind of emphasis on helping with parking. But the good news, when you can't find a place, that tells you that there's things going on at the annex, and DA Colley is moving cases. And that's usually what it is when you've got large court days going on, whether it's docket call. We've had quite a few large, fairly high-profile murder trials and other civil cases going on this year. So it's been particularly noticeable this year. Yes, sir.
What type of material is that above the guy standing there? Is that something stucco over that you got to paint? The big stucco, the light stucco is more ranks that you don't have stucco?
It can be any number of things. We didn't really get into that level of conversation, but when I asked that question, he just said you've got several options. Some are going to be more expensive than others. My comment on that light color was that might pick up dirt, and we don't want it dripping, just like we have here on the courthouse. But he said that if we capped it properly up there at the top, you could keep that water flow directed towards the back. So a heavy stucco probably is not what we would want to do. I think we would want to go with something, in my opinion, as inexpensive as we can and still achieve a look. I still question the long-term usability of this building, and I would hate to pour a bunch of money into it, and that's why it's a relatively simple design rather than going in here and spending many hundreds of thousands of dollars to redo this. I think that this look can be achieved fairly inexpensively. And he was literally describing using pieces of plywood with textured paint on it rather than stucco. So what are next steps? Well, if you said, yeah, this is fantastic, let's move forward. I think that the next, just talking about the things that have to happen, the Texas Historical Commission, this is about as far as they will go, is giving us some artist renderings. If and when we are ready to have somebody put together working drawings, we will want to hire an architect that could take this look and then tell us, okay, here's different ways you can achieve this look. Here's the pros and cons of this material. And then they would come up with a set of working drawings that you could then give to a contractor, much like Preford has done for us on some of the projects that we have done for fixing the front steps and doing the building over there for the JP's office, something that would be contractor ready. But probably before then, it'd be a good idea to maybe sit down. If there's some more tweaking you want to do, I'll involve as many of you as would like to be involved in this project to decide what you want to do. If you want to sit down with the Texas Historical Commission fellows again, you can talk to them on a Zoom call. You can talk with anybody at the city. So again, this isn't say, hey, I want you to like this. I'm just showing what he's come up with.
I like the cream colored look on page 1 like Commissioner Fish did, but I'm in agreement with Dana on the parking. I don't think we need to lose these parking right at the moment. It's pretty bad on Mondays, and I agree with him on that. So.
Jimmy?
Why could we, on that first drawing there, why could we not move that out of the parking areas up to the sidewalk and just leave it on the sidewalk, put the wall up there with some benches behind it, and let the awning go to the building itself? That way we wouldn't lose those 2 or 3 parking places that we've got there, and it would still give a covered area with benches and all and even the walls.
And I can go back to him and do that. He was trying to achieve something visual, something useful, something that people would appreciate and would enjoy. That's why that's there. And he said, I know that that's taken up some of your parking, but I personally felt like it was worth losing a couple of places to have something unique like that. It's different. There's nothing else like it. There's not a lot of social sitting area in the downtown area right now. This just gives us some more of that.
Well, to me, just leave the walls out of the end walls out of it, and maybe go all the way down in front of that with that awning, and that way you've got covered area and you have room to set some chairs and tables and stuff there, and still give room to get by, I think.
Okay, you said move the end walls,
Remove
remove
the end
them,
walls off of that
parklet. Yeah.
And just move the outside wall there to the edge of the sidewalk.
Okay.
That way you still got your parking areas, you still got a covered area that you can put tables and whatnot and set in. I mean,
And we might, and I'm not sure exactly how much width you've got over there at that end to achieve that. I mean, maybe that's a possibility. If I told him, hey, we just can't lose 2 parking places, come up with something else, I can tell him that. Ladies, what do y'all think about some of that? I like to hear from people with more artistic talent than myself. And again, I didn't draw this, so if you want to criticize it, knock yourself out.
I like the color. I like the color of the first one because of the off-white color matches the main courthouse more, I think. That's just my opinion. I like Jimmy's idea of moving the parklet onto the sidewalk because I must go to, I get here in time to get a parking place, but a lot of times if I must go back, that I have to park somewhere a couple of blocks away and walk back into the courthouse area, because on days that there's court, which is necessary, it takes away a lot of parking. Those are my only thoughts about that.
And I think at some point, the court's going to have to deal with the question of how do we create some more parking? You know, this west side used to have a double row of parking. We've got an awful lot of landscaping over there and some wonderful monuments, but maybe the day is coming when we need to go back to a double row of parking in that area.
Does that parking area behind the annex there that Guaranty Bank uses, is that ours or is that theirs?
It's ours. It's all ours. And for some reason, I'm thinking he told me that they have quit parking there. So all of our, a lot of our staff that works in that building, probation, is parking back there. And maybe even some of the tax assessor's office is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would look good if we carry that awning all the way down to the end and then put little half dinettes or little tables and chairs along
Carry
the wall.
this awning down to the end.
All the way down. Instead of having this, just put some little tables and chairs all the way
I
against
think
the
I think that artist did address that as to why that was too much of that awning look there. I mean, to have that entire nearly block having that awning, he felt
maybe
like
two little awnings like
But
that.
the two that's there, just move them in against the wall and then leave the end walls out of the parking lot and put the wall up right at the
so
edge
one
of the sidewalk.
one of the primary objectives is to don't lose two parking places.
Yeah.
Move parklet towards building.
That's nice.
I'll give you my opinion. I think that you got too much beige if you go with that light color there. I think you have an opportunity here to bring some color into the picture. I like the mustard color, but I think my number one choice is the green, either one of those.
Nice. I like it. It's totally different.
These
Looks good with
these were the
aluminum
colors.
color.
Those were the colors of the 50s. I don't care for the light blue.
That's my second choice. Yeah, I like the green as well.
Would you all like to participate in a Zoom call with the architect with Texas Historical Commission? Any other final objectives here? Don't lose parking, move the parklet towards the building. You like the planters and the placement of the
I like the
benches?
benches. I like the lights on the parklet. That's cool. The string lights are neat.
Do you like the lettering there, kind of in that mid-century font, and the grid work of the aluminum grid work with just the solid paneling?
Just really have a question. On the last page, the very last one, I'm looking at those windows. Instead of just having, it's not exactly the same color. But are those just regular windows so that some light can come in? Is that what those are? On the last page, it looks like they're
The
tall.
only place where there's really, where there's not a solid wall behind it, I think he was planning on keeping that as some outdoor natural light. Certainly there under the words Courthouse Annex, if you look back up at the first page there, you've got the double doors and the side lights on either side of that. All of that directly below the words Courthouse Annex would be natural light. However, to the right of that, I believe you've got a solid wall already there with the DA's office, and so that's not going to be natural light. So now I'm coming back to the picture that you're describing there. I think he would keep whatever existing natural light is coming into the building, but the areas where you have a solid wall behind there or some other structure, that would be eliminated. And I can't remember how far down that natural light option goes. Okay, next steps. What would you like to do? Anybody else want to get involved in this decision as far as on an ongoing basis? Do you want to meet? Do you want to be able to talk to the architect over the phone as a group? You want me to just go back to
see
him
a drawing? You go back with it and say, hey, do some drawings with that parklet up on the sidewall.
And, and while you're out today, you may go over there and just see, if we did that, how much parklet could we achieve on that sidewalk over there? I don't know if you've got 8 feet, 10 feet. I can't picture right now.
I'm good with everything, but move it, like John said, move it on the sidewalk right there. I think everything else looks good.
How about I do that? How about I go back to him and let him tell me why what we're saying doesn't work or why it does work, and let me give you some updated drawings on that.
That sounds good.
Suitable course of action.
That sounds good to me.
All right, well, we won't make any decisions today then. We'll just ask for some more artwork. All right, let's set that aside. Can I put you on the spot? What do you think about it?
And I can sort of agree, I'm not much on the parking there, with the parking, even if you move the homes back there, I don't see, I understand the wall, just, all of this is just for our eyes only, it's not helping the courthouse at all, just for the outside look.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for the courtroom or the whole building, in fact, other than improve what the public sees, which is right now kind of an eyesore, in my opinion.
What about the planners? Will the city take care of those working with those?
They probably would. They probably would. Right now, I don't know that you have a water supply over there, so I think we did talk about that. All right, let's set that aside. Okay, the reason I had a chance to speak with Mark Taylor the other day, and based on the roughly 40 pages of individual requests for ARPA funding, and I brought the originals of those, Mark put together a spreadsheet there that I've given you that should be about 3 pages in length. And kind of the way this is laid out for you, you've got a description there with an item number by it. You've got who the requester was. You've got the amount of that request in column 3, and then you've got kind of a declining number there in column 4, showing that if we started off with the 6.3 million and we reduce it by each one of these, it shows that total funds available of 6.3 million gradually chipping away. And if you'll look there on page 3, not only have we spent the entire 6.3, but if you total up all these requests, you've surpassed that 6.3, and you've got a total request of 7.196 million. There at the bottom of that third page, not included in this was the conversion of the jail basement to inmate facility there. We just threw out a figure of $5 million. Broadband expansion, I just put in a figure of $3 million. Those items are not even listed on there. So what I need you to help me do, and what Mark needs, is he wants a better understanding of which of these requests, specifically within the precincts, would be for shared equipment versus just for the use of that individual precinct. And you'll be able to see on here that we've got this thing pretty well loaded up with road materials and equipment. Would be the lion's share of the uses of this funds. So I think everybody's thrown what I guess is your wish list, if you could have everything that you wanted. But in light of the fact of the grand total, this will better enable you to make adjustments here and there and say, you know what, I didn't realize we were spending that much money on road and bridge related items, and we want to back off and we want to put more emphasis there. So why don't we just run through each of these. I've got the original request form here that we need to look back on here.
A question.
Yeah.
On these, most of this here, what we're asking is $500,000. Most of that equipment that we got here, like the backhoe, like Jeff wants a backhoe, that would come out of the $500,000. That would not come extra.
Okay.
That was going to clarify that, because it wouldn't be extra.
Okay, well, I didn't
Yes.
know that, or I would have told Mark that.
Yes, all that $500,000 is, we're going to use that.
Was that what everybody was thinking?
Yes, that's what I was thinking as well.
Yes, that way it wouldn't push it way like it is now.
Okay.
Push it way out. That's just asking, there's quite a bit of deal here that we've asked for individually, and that's quite a bit of money that would go back into the ARPA fund.
Okay.
Yeah, this here.
But would there be some pieces maybe of shared equipment that maybe you all wouldn't consider as part of your 500? Maybe you don't know the answer right now, but why don't we kind of work through this? But that's an important piece that I can go back to him with.
And the money that we have left over was going to use it on the road materials.
Okay.
That, instead, the sheriff, that's a wish list. Yes, we'd love to have it. And 500 is what material, machinery. And
So your intent was any piece of equipment there you requested for it would be under your 500,000 umbrella.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That saves quite a bit of money.
Okay.
So this is kind of,
Yeah, so that's,
Overbudgeted
we've
right
kind of double counted it, because
Yes.
we've got that
Counted $1 million.
$500,000 in there as a separate line item.
that out on there makes it 6.2 or so.
Okay. Well, let's go back through here and we can say, yes, this definitely needs to be on our list. No, we've thought about it, we definitely need to remove it. Or, yeah, let's do some kind of modification of that. So why don't we start off, and we'll just refer to these by their item number there that's on the far left.
Brian, I've
Yes,
got
sir.
a question on it too. Is he saying that any of this that we have listed can be used?
Yes.
The ARPA funds can be used for any of this that we've got listed here?
I asked him that. I said, is there anything in here that you think, for whatever reason,
Would be questionable.
should not be done? He said, no, I really think, if you can stay within the amount that's allocated to you, and based on the fact that we're requesting, we're a county that received less than $10 million for lost revenues, the justification could be made on all of these for lost revenue.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see, and I may be just overlooking it, an economic development money. I think we sent our list in before we had the request.
Item number 5.
Number 5. Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other comments before we start working through this? Okay, item number 1, this was Terry Scoggins when he came and made a plea to the court for some assistance to help reimburse them for the large number of nurses that they had to bring in from the outside, when they were working through COVID. His figure request was somewhere just shy of $180,000. So that's that first line on there. The Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District, that is an arbitrary amount. Sulphur Springs, Hopkins County has already made their contribution of $50,000. I don't know what the other 4 member counties will do. Some of the smaller ones like Delta may possibly not contribute that much, but then you have Collin County, you have Hunt County, you have Franklin County. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I think that ARP funds would be a good source if you want to make a contribution to the improvement of that short line railroad. That's why I came up with the $50,000. Number 3 there is your fee that will be due to Trailer and Associates of $190,000. Item number 4, and I'm not sure exactly what that one is, Barbara. Help me remember, did I throw something in there that was over and above that request from Nathan?
During our budget discussions, there was an additional $50,000 mentioned, and I had it in our original budget, and you asked me to put it over here. Now, I don't know if that's the same thing. I don't know.
Obviously, it wasn't real important to me because I can't even remember what it was if it wasn't that NETEX money. I would say I would say scratch that because I don't know what that is for, and anything that it was for could probably be included in item number 5. Now, again, we had some discussions in here after Nathan presented the other day, suggesting $300,000 over each of 2 years as the county's contribution to the Mount Pleasant Economic Development Corporation so that they could use that money in an effort or when opportunity arose for them to promote county property. And I know that was one of Jeff's final comments the other day. He didn't think that this was the time to be doing that, or that was an amount that he didn't feel comfortable with. So again, this list was put together prior to any comments that came after that time.
Why can't we allocate that? If we do the $600,000, allocate it for 3 years, and then not do any more, come back to the table on this for 3 years? That'd be basically $200,000 a year.
I'd like to see him coming to us when they'll not give them this money till they have something that's guaranteed that we can work on and help work together on this, instead of just giving them money and just let them do what they want to. They need to come to us when they have a project and say, hey, are y'all interested in it? Would you do this here? Instead of just give them this $300,000 and just let them just do what they want to with it. I want a guarantee.
Well, I don't know that the implication was just,
Right.
contribute and put that money in
Right.
our bank account, let us do whatever we wanted to. I think that the implication is that it would definitely be tied to a specific project. But you're saying, hey, let's wait until we see that
Yes,
specific project.
Yeah, I'd like to see some stuff going on instead of just out there at a piece of land that's not even just sitting out there. And they said, well, we need this help this here. That hey, we'd be glad to help if it does our economic society better. Heck, I'm all for it. But I just don't like just throwing money out there. And
Well, and
saying,
we didn't have a whole lot of time for discussions like that with
Right.
Nathan, but that's, I can certainly express that sentiment to him, and maybe he'll have a quick reply to that. Well, I've got something in the works right now. I don't know what he's going to say. As we look through this, I want to remind you, we've got some limitations that we are working within. Any uses of these monies have got to be identified by the end of 2024.
Right.
So basically, 4 months and 2 years from right now, you've got to state what you're going to use the money for. And then you've got an additional 2 years to the end of 26 to actually spend that money. So you can't come up with a big project at the end of 24 that's going to take 2.5 years to complete, 3 years to complete, because you have to have that money spent, not just obligated, not just a contract signed with a contractor. The money has to be spent by then. So I'm going to put comments in there, talk to Nathan regarding county contribution. If and when a project is on the table.
Again, we're, they're asking us that we can pay $600,000 out of ARPA fund now, but in the 3 years later, the third year, they ask for another contract, they're going to ask for some more money then?
Well, Nathan doesn't know anything about ARPA funds,
Right.
and he's not making that request
I know.
based on ARPA funds.
Right.
So the fact that we might have ARPA funds to use towards that is
Right.
not really his concern. And he wasn't asking for $300,000 ongoing. Could there be future asks? I'm sure that there could. And if and when you have an opportunity to make, a big splash out in the county, I don't think there's anybody on this table that wouldn't
Right.
be willing to contribute money towards a cause that was going to have, that would have a large payback. Okay, item number 5, annex facade. I don't know what that's going to take. I put $200,000 in there. I don't know that you're going to do it for much less than that. Maybe you can, but construction's mighty expensive right now, and I may be on the low end with that, but I put $200,000 in there. Item number 7, 45 air conditioning units. Barbara's plugged that in at a cost of, what, $15,000 a piece? As I understand it this morning, more bad news at the JP office. One of the old systems that we did not replace had really nothing to do with that project over there. It's just that at the time we did that enhancement to the JP's office, we did add 1 brand new unit, but we did not change out any 3 old units. We've already replaced 1 a couple of weeks ago. I understand we've got another one with a major freon leak, which probably means an entire unit to be replaced to the tune, I'm going to guess, of around $7,500 there on Judge Dunn's side.
Is this 45 the ones for, is that every one, or is that minus the ones that we have replaced here in the last 2
I
or 3
believe
months?
that's every one, because I don't have a list of the ones that have been replaced. I've asked for the list, but does he give you that, Judge Lee?
I've never seen this 45 unit figure. They are supposed to, I have not seen a list this year of the work that they've done by units, and we have replaced several units this year. Back in 2011, right when I got in office, we had procured some grant money and were able to replace quite a few units. We didn't replace 45 units. We might have replaced 20 or 25. Those units are now 11 years old, and I'm just afraid we didn't get the very best of quality back at that time. But, coils do go old, and coils do get to the end of their life. But we can't keep filling up Freon and having these units fail on us. And so I don't know that 45 would be the number. I would hope that it could be less than that. 15,000 per unit, I'm hoping is on the high side. I'm hoping it would not take that much. And we certainly wouldn't want to replace units, that were half that age, that were less than that. But anytime you cross over 10, 11 years, you're starting to get to the end of the expected life on these units. We like to think we could squeeze a little bit more, but some of these have started to fail, and there's no point in trying to patch these and replace coils. It's time to replace the whole unit. So 45 units, I'm thinking it's going to be on the high end of the calculation, and I would think that on an average we could do it for less than 15,000 each. But some of these are big rooftop units, and that's what they're going to take.
Judge Lee, I think 45 units is how many that would air conditioning services for us.
Total service. That's
So,
every single unit in every single location.
Because I don't have a number to determine which ones were replacing 11.
Yeah.
So now they're 11 years old, and then how many more there were out there that, didn't get replaced in 11. It's just a ballpark.
Yeah, well, let's hope that 35 might be a more realistic number, and so maybe we could do this for 400,000. I don't know, but let's leave that high figure in there until we had an actual evaluation done by Wood.
Well, let me caution you something. We don't need to have Wood.
Yeah, that's probably right, because something like this is going to absolutely have to be bid out and under some fairly stringent requirements, and I would think that Wood could meet those requirements. But like we heard here from one of our local vendors, the amount of burden that's put on a contractor that is bidding on projects that is going to be paid for with ARP funds is quite onerous. I'm sure a company the size of Wood can handle it, but some of them may not want to participate in that. Item number 8, we need to get some computers to allow for working from home by the county auditor in an event that we had another situation like we had during COVID, and she needs to send some people to work and keep them working while they're at home. This is going to pay for what, 2 or 3 laptops?
I hope that it pays for 4.
4
So
laptops.
That number could change. It just depends on, number one, at my home, I have a laptop, but the service that I have is so terrible. So it's not really useful to me to have that at home. So even, I use mine occasionally, but I come to the public library or something like that. In the event of COVID, the library might be closed.
Yeah, but that's a standalone. That's a standalone laptop, is what this is.
Well,
Pricing.
that's just my estimate. I think I need to get with Seth and let him tell me rather than me tell him what we would need to work from home in the event something happened.
Would that be something that you would purchase and stick on a shelf, or buy it as needed?
Well, it's hard to know when it's needed until you need it that day. So I would think we would need to go ahead and get those, get them in place, make sure they work, see if there's something more. I'm willing to spend money in my home if there's something out there that would work better. I just don't know what that is. But it's not about me. The important piece is in the auditor's office. We do the payroll and we pay the accounts payable for the county. I think that it would hurt not only our employees, it would hurt the economy of Titus County if we were to not be able to get payroll out, in addition to our employees who they need to get their payroll checks. And I think we need to keep the lights on, the water and all those things. And who knows? It might be COVID. It could be COVID. It could be something else. It could last 3 days. It could last 3 weeks. It's kind of an insurance policy, really.
Item number 9, cybersecurity improvements. And your $37,000 figure came from Seth, and describe to us again kind of what this is additional backup capabilities.
Yes, sir. He does all of our backups for us. so I've talked with him about how secure those are, because the training that I went to at TAC recently, I went to their risk management, and cybersecurity was a very important topic for the entire 3 days of that program. And so one of the requirements is that you have backup off-site, and not just to the cloud, but off-site somewhere else. For example, if the annex were to burn, you may not have everything that we need in order to continue. So, and that's not something that you can just do. You can see $37,000. So again, technology is not my forte, but Seth had looked at that and made the recommendation that for about $37,000, we could get to where TAC recommended that we get. I sent Seth a big list of the information that I got from TAC, because frankly, that speaks his language. It's not my language. So that's the number that he came up with.
So this achieves a TAC recommended
Yes, sir.
level of security. Three air cleaner units. Are those standalone filters that are placed in your office? Tell me what that is
They're
again.
standalone. They're about as large as that brown trash bin there. They clean the air. Because my office is so small, and it's a little better now that Sharon is down the hall with payroll, I bought one of those with the coronavirus funds. You commissioners bought that for us. And because we're so close together, I think we need to get some more. And it may not be just in my office. There may be other offices. I know in the county clerk's office, when you go in the door, they sit, right there. There may be other offices in the county. But I just think that, again, to protect the auditor's office so that we can get the payroll out, accounts payable and things.
And that's something you would run all the time, just to
We run it all the time.
have a healthier environment?
We have one and we run it all the time.
Okay. Item number 11 is grant support staff for the auditor's office at $22,000. This is a part-time position, as I recall, that would do work related to the ARP grant that's not completely provided for by Trader and Associates.
I think we'll know more whether or not we need that once we have him begin doing the bids. The bids that I've done recently is not on the road materials and the culvert. I'm not aware of where you would find someone with that expertise, certainly not for that amount of money. This amount of money was just an entry-level person if someone was needed to collect information or whatever it was that Mr. Taylor said that we needed. We'll know more once we move through this process whether or not we're going to need that. I do want to caution you about the amount of work that I've already had to do because of the road materials and the road oil and the culverts. Mr. Cox is correct. Those bids are 31 pages. In the past, our bids that we've done internally have been about 18 pages because there are simply more requirements for the federal purchasing. So my understanding is that Mark Taylor is going to move forward with all of the purchasing. If he's not able to do that for some reason, then we're going to have to look at some other method to achieve those results because we don't have the time in my office to do that. And we could put out an RFP to see if we can find someone with that knowledge. But that's very specific knowledge, managing grants like that. So my suggestion is that we leave that in there until we visit with him and see his recommendations.
And then number 12, self-explanatory, postage and office supplies in keeping up with ARPA.
Judge Lee, if it were easy, just stamps, but we have to get return receipts on some items when we mail those. And so it's taking more money than what, we could have mailed out 18 of those forms, 18 of those bid packets. It would have been more than just a stamp or two because they're so large. But when we have to get postage and we have to get return receipt and all those kinds of things, that's why that's there.
All right, now let's move into each of these requests are organized by precinct, and so here's where you can tell me, and what Mark Traylor has picked up, or I've told him is a shared item, may not be a shared item, so here's where you can give me additional information. Item number 13 is a new water truck. That's intended to be shared equipment, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Item number 14, a reclaimer machine, shared item.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And do both of those figures look like reasonable amounts? I remember there was one piece of equipment where one of you told me, man, that's not going to do it. Are these reasonable figures for these pieces of equipment?
I think they are.
Okay. All right.
Maybe, I seen, me and Jeff Cates talked about this water truck, and we found a used one for $70,000. So, we've got a shop, I guess.
Is that equipped with the tank and the?
Yes, ready to go.
Everything ready to go?
It's just like the one we've got.
Would we say that this is used?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
No, I'll put on there used. Reclaimer, is that used or new?
New.
That price is going
New
to
or
be,
fairly new.
Yeah.
if barely used, Mike could get one for that.
Item 15, a bucket truck, shared item, 60,000, good. It seems like that was one of the ones you told me might be on the shy side. 60,000?
That's probably going to be somewhere close.
Oil tanker, item 16.
That will
This
be
is the
shared
trailer.
also.
Yeah, it's shared.
That is a shared item. Item 17, a pull truck and tractor. What's the difference in a pull truck and a tractor? Or is that the same thing?
It's actually the same thing.
Well, that's what I told him I thought it was.
It's the tractor that pulls that will do the pulling for the whatever trailer we've got hooked to it.
Is that replacing an old piece or is that a new?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've got the old International, we've got, we're out, we can't get parts for it.
Would this be a new piece?
Yes, sir. That price is somewhere in the neighborhood of what it should be for a new one.
Is that one shared, Judge Lee?
Yes.
Tell me again, that bucket truck that's used at 60,000,
Yes, sir.
but the oil tanker trailer, is that new?
We can possibly get a new one for that, but it could be either way. If we find a good used one, we'll.
Okay. So now starting with 18, road materials for Precinct 1. That's really a more all-inclusive, that's just not road materials, right? And so as we get to an item, Jeff, that you've put on your list, tell me, hey, that's included in my 500,000.
Okay.
Next item, 19, is the same for Precinct 3, 500,000. That would be, I'll call road materials and equipment for Precinct 1. Okay, then he's got in item number 20, other road materials per Precinct 3. I guess this would, for Precinct, other road materials, Precinct 1 and 3.
The way I put that one in was for 500,000 for each precinct.
Okay, so that's really, where has he got, Fitch, where has he got your 500?
I sent in 500,000 worth of equipment, trucks and such. I didn't put a 500,000 for materials, road materials. Kind of come after the fact. And I didn't.
That was just a lump sum.
It'd be included in this item 20, I believe. That's.
Well, let's say this is 500K for both 2 and 4 precinct. Okay, chip seal of the parking lot of the Ag Extension office. And what will 8,000 get us over there?
Should be plenty for us to do it ourselves. That's the road oil and the pea gravel on top of it.
Gravel and oil.
Chip seal that ourselves.
Gravel and oil, labor by county. Okay, item number 2, 2 backhoes. Jeff, what about that?
That's going to be included in the 500,000 on that.
That is not shared equipment. That is 2 backhoes for Precinct 1, but that would be included in your 500.
Yes.
That's 120 times 2.
And I'm also looking at it too, because we're going to, those 2 backhoes that I have will be sold, and that'll kind of help offset some of the price on that as well.
So will that 120 be the net cost for 2 new backhoes?
I'm hoping it may give me 1 used one and 1 new one, hopefully, so I'm just kind of banking on that, so.
Okay. So that may be net of sales of old stuff, but 120 for 2 backhoes, and that's included in your 500,000.
Yes.
All right, maintenance shop, additional tools and equipment. Is this shared stuff?
Well, I use that
Maintenance
as
shop.
giving them an opportunity to kind of upgrade some of their equipment as well in there, when they need new tire machine.
They've got a tire machine that needs replacing. It's old as the hills, and it needs replacing, and there's another piece or 2 of equipment that
So this isn't just for Jeff Parchman's shop. This would be,
No, this is for maintenance shop.
and it's not coming out of your 500.
No, maintenance barn.
So I'm going to call that shared. Dump truck for Precinct 1, that's included in your 500K.
Yes.
And new side cutting machine at 150,000,
Yes.
also included. All right, moving on to Precinct 2, 5 to 6 yard automatic dump truck.
That's going to be new.
That's included in your 500. Same with backhoe, item number 27. Is that new?
Yes.
Item number 28, a gooseneck trailer. Well, 20,000 buy a gooseneck.
What was that trailer you bought, Jimmy? How much was that trailer? I can't remember. Was it 28?
28 something or other, yeah.
So I'm a little light right there on that trailer. Let's put 30,000 down on that, just to be on the safe side.
And that was new. And that was the one that you got a bulldog or what, a bull something?
Iron Bull.
Iron Bull.
Yeah.
So new, change that to 30,000. That's included in your 500 request. Motor grader, 120 horse, 12-foot blade, air-conditioned cab.
It's going to be new.
Not shared equipment.
Nope.
And then a 1-ton diesel automatic dually.
Full truck.
That's a new piece, and that is for Precinct 2, and that's included in your 500.
31 is going to be a shared equipment.
And that has nothing to do with going back on here. That's different. A bucket truck and a crane truck, two different things.
Crane trucks, the main maintenance actual truck that they take out into the field with a crane on the back to pick up those heavy wheels and tires.
Well, this is shared equipment, not coming out of your 500 allocation. A $85,000 is a new,
That's a used one.
that's a used. Does that come with the crane, or is that just the truck?
Yes.
Okay, Dana, down to item 32, motor grader with a 14-foot mold board.
Yes.
Not share, that would be Precinct?
Yeah,
It is,
The used one.
is it shared?
No, it's
Okay.
used.
This is used.
It's come out of my 500,000.
And then item 33 is a 32-foot hydraulic closed gooseneck dovetail trailer. Is that the right terminology? Is it gooseneck?
That's going to be a new one.
30,000, just that similar to what you're asking
Yes.
for? Okay.
A little bit, that's a little bit high, but I just didn't know how much it would cost us. Steel going up.
And then a 550 pull truck with a flat bed.
It's gonna be a little bit more than that. It'd be about, new, about, I don't know, 85 to 100,000. But that'll come out of my 500.
And a 550 is going to be that's not a pickup truck type chassis. That's something even bigger, isn't it?
Like I bought last year.
So you want to change that dollar figure?
I had 100,000.
100? Is that new?
Yes. How much thing? 85?
85.
85, say 85.
85.
85.
I think you can get it for that.
Okay. That'll be coming out of my money if we put 500,000.
Okay. Okay, item 37, chip seal 14 miles of roadway in the city of Talco. 2,100 tons of pea gravel, 56,000 gallons of oil, base rock and pavement repairs and culverts. But I assume that's not coming out of your 500.
It's kind of a shared deal. They shared almost, you know. We all have to do it. Get it done.
Would that be, is that 14 miles or that 10 miles, John?
I thought he said 14.
Okay, I thought it said some 10 miles, but they said 10.
Yeah, I
just
think it's 14.
Discussing that philosophically, tell me how we justify spending county money inside the city of Talco. Especially in light of the fact that they got some ARPA funds.
They did. They did.
I don't know how much, probably not this much. I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm just asking to help me understand why we're spending money in the city of Talco versus the city of Winfield versus the city of Mount Pleasant, or.
Judge Lee, I do have the answer to the question of how much they receive. Mark Taylor sent it to me, and it is Miller's Cove, $39,000, City of Mount Pleasant, $3.9 million, Talco, $123,000, Winfield, $128,000. So Winfield got $128,000 and Talco got $123,000. It's a change.
Talco 123.
His note also says, from what he says, from what I can tell, Miller's Cove is the only one that may not have accepted their allocation. That's from Mark Taylor.
Okay. So again, how do y'all feel about this? I just had some questions about
They asked
this.
for it, just like Tri-County, Tri-Water asked for some generators, you know. They asked for it, and their roads are in need of repair. I didn't have no problem with it.
if they got some money out of it, I don't think we need to do the whole thing.
That 350 was your estimate based on all these supplies required?
He's asking you to
Do what?
That 350, that would be the total cost to the county. Is that just materials and us providing the labor?
I think, did you do it, a figuring, John?
Yes, that's pretty much just a general figure, 4,000 gallons a mile and 150 tons of gravel per mile. And the roads are pretty wide.
So again, is it appropriate for us to spend county dollars on the city of Talco?
Well, if we're not spending anywhere else, I don't know that it is.
Talco the only one that asked for any money.
So far. And then the hospital asked for some money. Yeah.
But they're the only city municipality that have.
We can come back to that later and think about it, see if they want to contribute some towards it before we make a money decision on it.
Okay, Sugar Hill Fire Department, and here's where I didn't pick up on that wording in Jana's request. This was for a repeater. Tell us about this repeater, what this will do.
This should be enable more frequency on the radio where they can get radio calls and all that. It was brought up Sugar Hill. It was when Jerry Clark was there, was able to get it, but Jerry had a home base radio system. And
So we're missing some of the equipment that used to be there. That's why there's a difference in
I don't know if
communication.
it's his or I'm not saying if it's he bought it himself or what, but he had a home base and that's why they was able to get calls because of that. But this here will be inside the out the fire station.
And part of the problem, this came up in our fire committee meeting the other day, the fact that Sugar Hill on a couple of occasions had sent personnel and equipment to an event when it was already over, and it came to my attention that that's happening because they're not getting declared, they don't have the radio reception that they need to get immediate information like that. If they're told to call off, don't come to this event, they didn't get that information. So the idea is this repeater would help them to have more solid reception up there. And that repeater would then feed their vehicle radios?
Well, it would help them, all their radios and their handhelds and all that.
Okay.
It enhances the reception, is actually what it does. And I don't know exactly how it works, but the signal, when it's sent out here, it will bounce off of that repeater when it comes back, and it allows it to. We had one at one time out here because our radio, especially our handheld radios out around Cason, the college area, down in that southeastern part, we had very little reception out there, and still don't have real good. But it helped some, but it didn't totally solve our problem out there.
Okay, so that's a piece of equipment that would sit at the station itself.
Yes.
Okay, getting into Precinct 4, 2 20-yard dump trucks with beds.
That's not 20 yard, that should be 6 yard. Six to 7.
2 6-yard dump trucks with beds. That is not shared equipment. Are those used or new?
That'll be new. And that will come out of my 500. Same thing with the backhoe. It'll be new and come out of that.
And that's a new backhoe,
Yes, sir.
also for not shared and included in the 500. All right, and then lastly, 4 generators for Tri-Special Utility District. How many total generators were they needing to replace?
4.
Oh, it was more than that. Was that all? Okay.
Okay.
So he's replacing a lot of things, but he was saying if y'all will get me my replacement generators, you know, I know he's got quite a few valves that need to be replaced. You know, I've got mixed feelings on this. I think that a lot of the Tri-Special Utility District problems maybe come from, you know, their just inability over the years to keep up and replace stuff like this as needed, and it sure came to light when we had the freeze last year. But this is an expense that benefits everybody in the county that utilizes dry water. So I felt like that was not an inappropriate use of our funds to give to a third party, because it does, again, directly impact the ability of Tri-Water to distribute water throughout the whole county. Okay, well then we need to redo this chart, and it looks like we've probably duplicated at least $2 million worth of expense by, although Jimmy, you really didn't spend up your $500,000, so you would.
The rest of mine, I'd like to have for road material.
Okay, so we could maybe show that as an allocation of $500,000, and then below that, there is the assumption that we would use this much for this piece of equipment, this much for another piece of equipment, and then road materials for whatever the balance is.
That's probably on all of them.
Okay.
Because some of them, we'll have a little bit left over.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to keep up with that, and the only one that will not have any left over is Precinct 2. The items there are $545,000. But I think you said that earlier, that you weren't looking for road materials, you were looking for equipment.
Yeah, and then what's left over will come out of the raw material money or whatever. Million total, what we're talking about per precinct?
No, 500,000.
Just 500, period. And,
So
yeah, we'll go with that, because I mean, I kind of exaggerated those bids.
So you think they'll come?
500's real close, and when it does go over, we can budget that.
Are you going to sell some of them too?
Yeah, we'll have some sales, and plus we can pull it out of contingency or something if we needed to.
Okay. Well, let me and Mark rework this, get some better segregation there, and be able to have our next meeting with him. Has there been anything else that's come up that I should get on this list? Any thoughts about? Do you want me to leave this $600,000 for the Mount Pleasant EDC or not?
I personally don't think so, but I think we need to wait on it.
Well, when you say wait, tell me what you mean by wait.
Period, because once this ARPA money is spent, then where's the money going to come from in the years to come? I mean, he said the other day it was $600,000 a year. So, I mean, that's a big expense we don't really need.
Well, I'm not.
We can fund, like Dana said earlier. I mean, I'd be glad to do that. You know, if a big project come up, I'd be all for it. I just don't see yearly $600,000. I think it's a waste.
No, it's not yearly. It's two infusions of $300,000 for a total of $600,000.
But this not going to be, after that 2 years, it's not going to come up every.
Well, I think that would have to be decided, you know, if y'all feel like your money's being well spent and you're getting some significant projects out of this.
I just thought he said after this, it's a 2 years be an annual contract. what I thought, what I heard him say, be somewhat, sit down and do it would cost more money, but the initial one is 600,000.
Well, I would absolutely not be in favor of just shoveling money into their coffers, but there doesn't exist a better way to pursue economic development within the county other than utilization of the Mount Pleasant Economic Development Corporation. So again, I do think that that's a word. I misunderstood before Nathan was here the other day that money could be used within the city and within the county, but he cleared that up for me. He said, no, that's not the case. We cannot use that money out in the county. And with the projects that he's got going, I think he's just trying to, I think he just wants to put us on notice that, you know, when I'm out here working in the county, I want you guys to be prepared, you know, that we're going to need some help out here. I can't spend money that I don't have or that I can't spend out in the county. You all are going to have to provide me with those funds. And if he's able to do that and he brings you a project or projects that you agree with, you know, I want you to be prepared and be able to utilize this ARPA money for that, as opposed to having to dip into a budget year where you haven't anticipated that. You know, that's my only thoughts here. But I'm not interested in just giving them money for their general fund. Any additional thoughts?
What about those carports for our shared equipment at the maintenance facility? Maybe building 2 30 by 80s or 30 by 100 or some type, building 2 of those.
Yeah.
It's going to roughly be $100,000.
We measured out there the other day, and I just got all about that. But it's just a shed to keep that shared equipment
Big
under.
carports to put our shared equipment in
Where would this be?
at our maintenance facility. We're right by our big shop.
Just to the east of the maintenance building there. We've got enough room to go out. That's where they park when they get through working on a piece of our equipment, that's where they park it. But it would still give them room to park that equipment and us have a shed back there to keep all of our, and that's a life of equipment. If you can keep that equipment under a shed, keep it out of the weather and all, it just lasts that much longer. And we've all got all of our sheds taken because of that. I've got some at mine, and everybody else does too. Some of the shared equipment that we hadn't got room to put, and I really need mine for storage and this, that, and the other.
Is this attached to the shop building
No, it'll be
itself?
across
It'll
the
be
parking lot
across the
area.
parking area there.
Either the east and west side, whatever links we can get in there.
Does they need those carports run north and south?
10 parking places.
North and south or east west?
They'll run north and south.
North and south.
One on the east and one on the west, I believe would be the easiest place to
Well, I
put
think
those.
if
Good
we could go from that back, or nearly to the back fence, we can't go all the way because the water, the drainage ran there, but we could go nearly to where that drainage is and come back north. I think we'd have enough room there to get everything we're going to have.
It'd be easy getting out of the big heavy equipment that gets stuck in the wintertime. It's good ground there.
You want me to put that on here?
I would.
Yeah, I think we ought to.
It's almost the equipment that we have now, what we're going to get, we need it.
So obviously a shared item. Is that 1 or 2 of these?
We need to measure that total length down through there, all the way up to that gravel pile.
Yeah,
gonna
from the
be
gravel pile back south, as far
160
as we
feet
go.
maybe or so.
It's going to be every bit of that.
At least 30, they're 30 deep or so.
2 carports for storage of road equipment.
Yeah, they're roughly 2 at 30 feet by 100 foot long, something like that. We'll remeasure that. Or one long one, we can get the.
I've got a
200 feet through there,
300
We'll do it.
I've got a 300-foot tape at the house that
Okay.
I'll bring up and check it.
How tall are those?
It'd have to be tall enough to get that 18-wheeler under and that reclaimer too. So it's going to have to be 14, at least 14 or 16 foot tall.
Front, they taper down in the back. to
Yeah, yeah.
12 feet tall, 14.
I would think you're talking about 2 times 75,000 for that.
Probably, yeah.
But if they were 30 by hundreds,
They don't have to have a floor in them though, so.
Yeah, we'll put reclaim or something other under that. For,
They call it gravel we got over and put
well, I'm
on.
yeah,
thinking what
we'll
I
do
said.
that.
Yeah,
Ten years ago for 40 by,
Need to price it, they are, their walls on 3 sides, so it doesn't have any doors in the front, it's just open. So I have no clue what much a foot for that.
That may be high. I'm gonna put 150.
Okay,
Well,
for sure.
No, 75,000. I don't think you're gonna do it for less than 75,000 each. Okay, that's a shared item. Anything else?
All I have.
All right, let us retabulate this and see where we stand.
Are you going to email us that? If he sends you something, a spreadsheet back, will you email it to us? So we can kind of look it over?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. And again, it may be time to meet back again with Mark after that.
Yeah.
But basically, there's nothing on here that can't be utilized with these funds. And we'll see after I take these duplicates out of here where that leaves us. Barbara, anything else?
No, sir, I'm sure you're tired, well, I will say one more time, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk about purchasing, but I want to caution you one more time. Please don't go out and talk to vendors that you may be interested in purchasing something from, because if you do that, like Mr. Taylor's already told us, that will keep them from being able to bid on the project. It's better if we let them make that decision if they don't want to, than for us to keep them from bidding.
Yeah, this is always true, but times 3 under this kind of scenario where we have got very strict, very serious bidding requirements. We'll have to do it the right way. And if we start talking about names of vendors and prices and individual discussions we've had with them, it it could really throw a wrench in the works.
I need to add one thing to that, Judge Lee.
Okay?
I don't want you to be concerned about the purchasing that we've done in the past. I know that since I've been here, to the best of my knowledge, we've met the state purchasing requirements and our local purchasing requirements. I've discussed those with Mark Taylor, and he's confirmed that what we've done since at least 19 has been correct. And likely before that, I just didn't have the information to give you. But don't be concerned that we weren't doing it wrong. It's because these American Rescue Plans come with, it's federal dollars, and it comes with a lot more strings.
Pretty good.
What's the date wise when we maybe utilize this money?
What's the what?
The date earliest that we can use it?
I think we can start making plans pretty quick. And I think that's what we come back, maybe our next meeting with Mark is, okay, let's identify these projects.
Okay.
And Mark, we're ready to start going out for bid on these.
I will tell you that the road materials, road oil, and culverts will be opened in the morning at 9 o'clock right here.
In the morning?
You have to, maybe 9:20. I think you have something to do at 9. Yeah, they're due by this afternoon at 4:30, and we'll open those in the morning as soon as this courtroom is clear.
And I think I'm going to try to have that probate in my office so that you're not hindered by that. Now, I don't know if you'll have anybody show up.
I don't know. But today is the deadline, 4:30.
Most of our money is really not about road material, it's just equipment right now. That's our biggest concern.
Because some of the stuff may take a while to get ordered.
Yeah, it's gonna take, some of the trucks 6 to 9 months, you know.
Yeah.
The new stuff has been different.
There's no more time frame limitations. I think at this point, it's just getting properly going through
The channel.
steps.
Well, plus if you got duplicate items, you know, going out for bids, you might get a better discount on them, buying 2 than 1.
Well, like the dump trucks.
Yeah, the dump truck and the pull trucks, the pull trucks and the trailers, because I think everybody's asking for a trailer. We can say, hey, give us a good deal on, we're gonna buy 3 of these, or 4, you know.
if I'm not mistaken, these two older ones that I've got, they're 2005 model. Got well over 100,000 miles on them, and I'm having problems with them. I've already had one that I've had to rebuild the transmission, cost $4,700 or $4,900 to rebuild the transmission and all in it. And I just thought this was an opportunity that would allow me to update some of my equipment. And I think that's what happened when these were bought. I think there was like 6 or 8, 2 or 3 of the precinct went in, and they bought them all and got a better deal by buying, what they bought of them. So
I had a question I was going to ask y'all. And I'm sure you probably need every bit of equipment here eventually. Is there any? Would it be crazy to think about hiring a third-party road contractor like? I won't even mention any names. Say, we want you to chip prep and chip seal 50 miles for us, and we're going to use ARPA funds to do that. If you did something like that, would you be able to not make any of these equipment purchases, or in the long run, is it going to be better for us to invest in these pieces of equipment rather than paying a third party?
Well, what I'm getting myself, or what I've put in for, is just stuff that we use every day. It's not just for chip sealing or anything like that. It's for stuff that we use every day, putting in culverts, putting in, digging ditches, doing, different things, hauling our material to our projects that we're doing.
Well, is there anything to be gained by making a one-time, $2 million expenditure with somebody who could do 5 times as much road work as you could do in a year, because that's their absolute specialty and that's what they do each and every day, whereas we're limited each year as to how much road materials we can buy, and we may have to stretch that same given amount of mileage out over 5 years by the time that we're going to get to it. I mean, I know you obviously pay more to a third party than it would cost you to do it yourself, or I guess it would, but I don't know.
Yeah, it would be more expensive, but we might accidentally over the.
But could you speed up the benefits by 5 times?
Not very far. We can get a mile done.
I haven't.
$1 million. That's high to get it done. So we get so much more done on our dime.
Okay.
Like I said, I got 2 miles of road and it's 22 foot wide. I got a guy today put stuff in it, and he asked me, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." 87,000 just for material, and that's almost 3 years of budgeted material. Because everything really it's all going up regardless. Some people try to keep it, but the cost is tremendous now. It's just everything's going up. Look the trailers. We bought these trailers. We give $14,000 for them. 12. And now they're 28,000. They're almost double
The same thing.
So,
a little bit bigger, but they doubled it. All that's different is the weight capacity, the axles and stuff. And you see gas and oil, how much it went up. It's coming down a little bit, but still it hit us at a peak time where we use the most gas and oil to run these machines, to chip seal and all that. Because that spread mixer, that RM300, it's a 300-gallon tank, and it uses quite a bit.
Judge Lee, I have one question along those lines. And I'm going to start off by saying I don't know how to fix a road, but I know that we spend a lot of money on materials, and y'all worked diligently since I've been here to improve the roads. Is there, along the line of asking someone else to do the entire project, is there any possibility that we need to have those roads, I don't know, the final code of whatever that last thing is that you put on there, would that extend the life of the road that y'all done recently?
Well,
Would that be something?
that's what we have been doing, and that's what I'm doing this year. I might not actually. Well, I've got 2 roads that were 3, I guess you'd say, probably maybe 3 miles that I'm going to chip seal. Everything else, I am just scabbing with that oil sand that I bought before the price increase and everything. And that stuff needs to set 6 months to a year before you even seal coat it anyway. So me and my guys sat down and talked before we done that and decided that it'd be best for us this year not to do very much seal coating and get our scabbing done of some bad places in the road. You can go out there and patch it, but if you've got a place as long as from here to the doors over there, it's better to go in and scab that whole area. So that's what we're doing, is scabbing those bad areas. There's some of our highly traveled roads. And then next year we'll come back and seal coat all of that. We may have 10 or 12 miles next year that we can seal coat, hopefully.
I just don't know how expensive it is to seal coat, and that might be something that's less expensive than what you're talking about, having someone just do the entire road, but that might extend the life of the roads that you've already done.
The oil alone, the way you figure the oil, it's for a road, you take the length times the width, just get an average of the width, and take those and multiply them, divide them by 9, and then we normally seal coat at a 0.35 on our oil. You multiply it by that, and Dana's has got some. What was it? Me and you figured up all ago on that 2 miles a year. $27,000 just for oil. That's not the gravel or anything else.
That's not, yeah,
So
37,000.
Yeah.
Because that's 22 foot wide. It's a wide road, and it's really 24 foot wide. But when it's the small roads, 16 to 18 is about 10,000 a mile. To do that, that's just for the oil. That's not counting the labor. That's not counting the rock.
Gravel or anything.
That's just counting the oil.
You get a company that comes in here to do that, then they're going to have to pay their hands and all that on top of it. Just like we have to pay ours, but still and yet they can't stay in business without, and so it would cost us way more to have somebody else come in and do it. As much as I'd like to see somebody do it, they can do so much more and so much faster. But we just don't have the money in our budget to do that.
That 4 miles of road's going to be around $55,000 just for the oil. Just those 4 miles of road.
And that's just the last thing that you do?
Yeah.
And that's the last oil.
seal.
And then you put the rock over top of the rock over top of the oil.
Spray the oil, put the rock on it at the same time, and then you've got it sealed for. If you don't get some soft spots in it or something or other for some reason, or gophers undermine it or something other like that, and it have a fall in or something other like that on it, you're good for probably 10 to
Okay.
That's
years or so.
I don't know if
Yeah.
we got to that 10 or 15 or 5 or whatever.
That 2 miles of road that I'm doing has log trucks. There's 2 sawmills down it. It's got feed trucks. It's going to be, it may not last 3 or 4 years because they're just so heavy to drive on that road, but it's just.
And it's every day.
It's every day.
Continuing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that last item is a non-action item. I will take the information you've given me today and come up with another spreadsheet, and we'll gather back again and plan our next meeting with Mark. Anything else? Somebody wants me to maybe meet me over there across the street and see how much room we've got to work with on that end. I'd like to see how much we've got, see if moving that parklet in would even be a consideration.
I've got a small tape in my truck that I can take over and see exactly what measurements and all are.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.